to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Rich Dotson. Here, my fellow nerd, Matt O'Hara.
Well, hello.
No Garrett Price.
No, wait, what?
He went to like Oklahoma.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. He's a Sooner.
Ooh.
Today,
this week.
I don't know. I don't ask questions like that. He's like, I won't be here next week. I'm like, good.
Good
Riddance.
Just kidding, Garrett. Come back.
Baby, come back. So today we're talking some Dynasty Fantasy Football. What do you think? You and I? Me and you?
You and me and you?
Yeah, you and I.
That sounds great.
But before we do, how about a word from one of our sponsors, My Bookie. That's right, guys, My Bookie. Ever since I started using My Bookie, no joke, I am on a hot streak when it comes to gambling.
You were just telling me earlier.
Dude, Arizona last night, Monday, they were like -2.5. Dude.
Against Dallas? Seriously?
Bet big on it.
Yeah, that's it.
I bet big. Guess who won? This guy.
That guy.
I'm up double. It's
Nice.
pretty good. If you gamble and you're up $1, you're doing really good.
Absolutely.
I'm up double. So do you want to be up double? Check out our friends at MyBookie. Ever since I started out, people have been asking me for advice on all kinds of things. But in covering sports, it's usually about who's going to win and what team they should bet on. You got the Patriots or 49ers this week, Bucks or Raiders. Well, the best piece of advice I can give you or to anyone is where you're betting at is just as important as who you're betting on. It's why I always tell people to visit MyBookie. They've got deposit matches, free bets, and huge cash prize contests for you to take advantage of all season long. NFL action? Check. College ball? Check. Plus, they have a mobile-friendly website and top-of-the-line customer service, making their platform a one-stop shop for all your betting needs. MyBookie offers action on everything from championship futures to NFL in-game live betting, making sure you're covered every step of the way. Congrats if you were one of the ones to cash in on the generously early season odds on the Lakers to win the NBA championship. Sign up at MyBookie today, and when you do, use the promo code NERDS to claim a deposit match, dollar for dollar, all the way up to $1,000. It's a bonus designed to give you a little help and a head start on your winning season. That's promo code NERDS for you to claim your bonus when you make your deposit. Stacked UFC cards, presidential prop bets, all the major sports, and more away for you. Sign up today to begin your winning season exclusively at mybookie.com. And even that UFC fight coming up, the Khabib, I can't pronounce his name because I'm not, in that, but Justin.
I'm not a UFC guy. So.
Hey, but they're fighting this weekend, and you can bet them on MyBookie.
Yep.
You can bet anything on MyBookie. You probably bet on how long I'll say, and over under 2.5 seconds.
Over.
Ooh, like,
most shows.
How long will Beyonce sing the national anthem?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like if I was Beyonce, I'd be betting big time on myself
and just
on the over and just nail it.
Nail it.
Yeah, I'd be super rich.
Yep. Wait. Done and done.
Well, she's already super rich.
Yeah.
I've been rich my whole life.
Since you were born.
As a noun. Well, we're back talking Dynasty Fantasy Football. And, hey, another week, some more injuries.
Of course, man. It's the way of the world here.
Miles Sanders got a boo-boo on his knee, makes Boston Scott pretty nice.
So, yeah, Boston Scott was the guy that basically came in and controlled most of the carries after Sanders went out. Sanders, obviously showing pretty well, broke another big, long run this week. Unfortunately, it was the run that hurt his knee. He ended up fumbling right before the goal line and ended up hurting his knee on the play. But Boston Scott, like you said and like I'd mentioned, came in and basically handled it. He didn't do, particularly awesome with it, but I think he's the guy that they're going to be leaning on. In
the situation of just get the carries, get the fantasy points,
Right.
Hopefully gets a touchdown, but if not, you're looking anywhere from 12 points, which, 8 to 12 points, which isn't terrible. But he's only out 1 to 2 weeks, so it's not long-term. Unlike Zach Ertz, who's out for a good solid month with that high ankle sprain.
So yeah, obviously, before we moved on to Zach Ertz, they're playing on Thursday night. So, Miles Sanders hasn't practiced at this point. It's Tuesday. So he's definitely going to be out this week, but they haven't ruled him out officially yet. So that's one of those things where that probably looks better for his, week 8 outlook.
The fact that he's not an IR yet,
right,
in a 3 window is great news for Miles Sanders owners. So hopefully it's just, the Thursday night, get 10 days of rest. Worst case, you miss 2 weeks. At this rate, the way these running backs are dropping, 2 weeks is nothing.
Right.
Well,
and
it's a lot, but
Well, Boston Scott, though, I mean, he'll at least be able to keep you afloat. Hopefully you have better options, in your fantasy lineup, but Boston Scott, if you don't, at least can keep you afloat for a couple weeks.
And same thing for the flip side for Zach Ertz as Dallas Goedert comes back. He might come back even as soon as after this Thursday night game, the following Sunday, 10 days from now.
I was actually wondering if this would be the game, this Thursday night game might be the game where we see Hakeem Butler, the tight end, active for the first time. You know what I mean?
Who else is catching the football out there?
They have basically nothing. I mean, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside actually made a touchdown catch this past week and had a showing again, so maybe he'll start coming out a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe I'll start growing facial hair. Hey, anything's possible.
41 could be the magic year for you.
It could be.
You never know.
If you're looking for a very stern mustache, I've got you covered. If you're looking for cheek hair,
not so much. I had the beard going last week. It was only about a week old beard, so it wasn't crazy thick. But I decided to shave it. It was a little bit too itchy, and I left the mustache just to see what I would look like. Because some people can pull off the mustache, and I still can't. I still look creepy. I did not look Rich Dotson creepy, but
whoa!
Because you brought it to a whole new level.
I intentionally brought it to a whole new level.
But I looked like a foreigner or something. I just looked like European or something.
Dude, somebody can pull off the mustache. Yeah. Some people can't.
I could not.
I've seen you with the mustache. It's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard for anybody to do.
It really is.
But hey, keep trying, kids.
Keep trying.
You keep growing those stashes.
Yep.
Hey, Ron Swanson.
Yep.
That guy can pull off a mustache.
Big time.
Anything
Tom Selleck. Awesome
big
mustache.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it though, right?
That's about it. After that, it starts falling off pretty quick.
That's it.
Yep.
More injuries. Jonnu Smith, ankle injury.
Yep. So
hello, Fisker.
Yeah, Fisker is the hot pickup. He had basically, it was almost double digit targets in this past game, and he scored pretty well. I know he was in double digit fantasy points for sure. Big game from him, and he's been getting them consistently even before the injury. So he's been getting 4 or 5 targets per game basically for about the past 3 weeks.
It's a quiet offense that moves. Derrick Henry opens it up. Ryan Tannehill has been extremely efficient with the football. Just like last year, it was QB8, just comes in, week out, scoring over 20 fantasy points, had like over 30 this week. Yep. A.J. Brown's a big help.
Brown was a big lift, and he came back in this is his first week back, and I plugged and played, and I was really happy I did.
It's such a nice influx of these rookie wide receivers right now. They're like 25 and under. A.J. Brown looks absolutely fantastic.
Rookie, or you're just talking about young guys?
Young receivers that you like in a startup with when you're skipping Allen Robinson, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas is a 27, 28-year-old guys. Right. A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, a wide receiver 1 as a rookie. CeeDee Lamb looks like the next DeAndre Hopkins. We said this before in the show. Whatever you paid for him would be an underpay. In my eyes, if you want the next DeAndre Hopkins.
He looks amazing. Yep.
DJ Moore, who hasn't had a year we want him to have, but still at only 23, sky's the limit for that kid. Terry McLaurin is kind of taking a back seat because everything's going wrong in Washington.
Yeah, he's still startable, as your wide receiver 3 or something like that. But yeah, absolutely, he's come back down to earth a little bit from his rookie year.
Chris Godwin, another fantastic young receiver. Mari Cooper's not in that, but DK Metcalf falls into that category as well. Tyreek Hill's just on the outside at 26. Chase Claypool looks fantastic with the Steelers so far. It just right now, these young receivers that you could have on your roster for the next 8 years, 6 to 8 years, it's a really good class. And this isn't even some of the rookies that we have had a chance to see, guys like Jerry Jeudy, Michael Pittman Jr.,
Denzel
Mims, who should make his debut this week.
Should be coming up soon. Yep.
So it's A.J. Brown looks every time he gets on the football like last year, just a dominant force.
Looks amazing
for your dynasty team. And the fact that him and Ryan Tannehill are there for the next 4 years together, it's a beautiful thing to see.
It is definitely a nice thing.
So Raheem Mostert came back. He's hurt again.
Now he's hurt.
High ankle injury as well. So he's probably going to miss about 3 weeks.
So this one we kind of have to hash out a bit because it seemed like, when that happened, everyone, naturally I would think, hey, our guy Jerick McKinnon is going to be the guy that's going to be getting all the carries, but it was actually Hasty, JaMychal Hasty, that got a bunch of the carries, and it sounded like Kyle Shanahan basically came out and said that, hey, he had some fresh legs, we had him going. So how do you see this working out going forward? Is this an instance of an in-game thing where JaMychal Hasty just had the fresh legs, look good in this game, so he was riding the hot hand, or do you think that he's going to get some opportunities to kind of become and establish himself as the lead guy for the next 3 or 4 weeks?
I think he was definitely riding a hot hand in the game. McKinnon was just having an okay game as it was. I think McKinnon will come back. I think they know, like, McKinnon's looked good surprisingly behind the line of scrimmage as well this year. But at the same time, JaMychal Hasty is somebody who we were talking about preseason that would come in and possibly have a spot here. And I think it just falls in the category of any running back you put in Kyle Shanahan's system, the way he schemes it is going to have success.
And I totally agree with you there. But what I'm trying to like kind of cut through the weeds and try to figure out, who am I starting? You know what I mean?
I'm starting McKinnon. But I think I think JaMychal Hasty easily falls into the not so obvious sneaky start, right?
Okay.
For this week. But at the same time, I want to see it again, because again, it doesn't matter who it is. If you're getting more than 10 carries in Kyle Shanahan's system, I'm willing to flex you out.
Yeah, and that's how I felt as well. I just kind of wanted to hear it and get it hashed out, and because I'm personally right now, I'm not like JaMychal Hasty. I'm not like eager to throw him in my starting lineup. If he comes out this week and plays well, I'm fine if he did that on my bench. You know what I mean? I'm gonna bench him this week. I feel okay putting McKinnon in and crossing my fingers and hoping that he does well. And
I think he'll be involved enough.
Yeah, right. So, but Hasty, he could just be a bench guy. You know what I mean? McKinnon could be a guy that's running and looking so well that you never even see Hasty. So
the thing is, Hasty's going to get some carry. Like, Shanahan's going to get 2 carries, but you got to remember, Deebo Samuel's back, so he get a bit more involved now. They've already used him a ton behind the line of scrimmage already. Get with some hands off with Deebo. You got Ayuk now. You got George Kittle. So they're finally at a full arsenal at the receiver position. It's just where does Hasty fall in? It's how many carries is he going to get? He needs 10 or more to probably be relevant. Okay. Which I can see him getting about 12 carries from McKinnon. It's weird because when Mostert worst went out, they're giving McKinnon 20 carries.
Yes.
And then they started to slowly come back from that. And now it's like, does Shanahan see something where it's like, okay, McKinnon can't be the guy?
Right, in that little
time. It's got to be a 50-50 split. For
in that short period of time when he had it kind of as his own gig, did he see something, or did McKinnon maybe not come through on tape as well as he had hoped, or something like that?
Well, I think we'll know for sure this week. Like, it's a little risky, I think, for me to get Hasty out there. But I mean, you could do worse, right? I mean, you could do much worse if you need a running back. Like, if you could do Boston, all the injuries,
you could be putting Boston Scott in your lineup.
I think if you had to ask me the two, like, obviously Boston Scott's going to get the most carries, but if you're like, who's got the highest upside, it's probably going to be JaMychal Hasty.
Yeah, I agree with that, because, I mean, the dumpster fire that is the Philadelphia offense, I almost don't want anything to do with it besides like 2 players. I mean, I would put Miles Sanders in. If Dallas Goedert comes back, I would feel okay putting Dallas Goedert in. And obviously the quarterback, Carson Wentz, who's, I think,
quarterback 9 on the
quarterback 9 or something
right around
like
there,
that. Yeah.
Which is absolutely insane. I think we'll have to talk about that later as well, because who would ever guess that with all the turmoil in Philly, Carson Wentz is still playing well?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like one of the underlying stories.
Well, I mean, their defense is terrible, which helps a fantasy quarterback. So maybe that's part of it.
It always helps playing catch up. But talk to a lot of these other teams playing catch up where their quarterbacks aren't playing well.
I mean, that was Dak's magic potion, you know what I mean? They would be down 3 scores and he would just have to throw for the next 3 quarters. So
it helps when you're really good. But Carson Wentz is pretty good.
He's pretty good.
We'll shelve Carson Wentz. We'll get back to that one.
All right, let's do it.
And then, of course, Christian McCaffrey should be back probably next week.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not going to be getting in this week, and they're hoping that he'll get in next week. So we'll see. I mean, it's a for sure no on week 7. We'll see about week 8.
But at the same time, you have Mike Davis as a top 8 fantasy running back. So Christian McCaffrey should be running back 1 overall when all is said and done.
When all said and done, absolutely.
Speaking of running backs, Matt, DeAndre Swift finally comes out.
Ooh,
has a great game.
Uh-huh.
This week versus Jacksonville, he had 14 carries for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions for 7 yards. Do you think this is the beginning of the Swift takeover, or just a blip on the radar versus a very bad defense in Jacksonville?
I mean, obviously it's a very bad defense. So that you have to weigh that in there. You have to, and I think Adrian Peterson, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was like ill the entire week as well, leading up to the game.
A little tummy flu?
Yeah, it was a non-COVID related illness. So he might have had a tummy flu or something like that. So this might have been like the perfect storm where DeAndre Swift finally, showed out in practice, and they didn't want to overload the 35-year-old running back in game, and they had to lean on somebody. They're not going to lean on Kerryon Johnson. I think they've pretty much.
He's been phased out completely.
Yeah, they've shown that. So DeAndre Swift finally got his chance to shine, and like you said, 114 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. That's pretty amazing on only 14 carries.
It happens a lot. It's why I loved about these rookies in the offseason, because with the NFL, like, what have you done for me lately? People are like, oh, well, Swift's not starting right away. He must not be good and only be a pass catcher running back. Like, oh, Jerry Jeudy's not doing good in Denver right now. He's probably going to be terrible. Bryan Edwards, preseason darling, hasn't done anything. Probably going to be terrible.
Right.
Same thing for Swift. Swift was a second running back off the board, taken very high in the second round by the Lions. He's clearly in the plans of the GM at the most part to get some touches, and we all loved his tape. He was our running back one going into the offseason. So for me, this is like that buy-in window on Swift was 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's already, with that last showing, it's probably closed.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you just watch the game film or watch the games, it's Adrian Peterson doing a slow motion circle move where he's doing a whole spin, and you could like literally count it on your sundial how long it took him to get around that thing. Or it's DeAndre Swift, who's a quick young back who can get in and out of cuts and make people miss in the open field.
Yeah, the same guy Kerryon came out and said, I can't do anything that guy does.
Exactly.
He's way too talented.
Yeah.
Swift's a dynamic running back. Could he be? I mean, he could be the Alvin Kamara behind an offensive line carrying the load. He's capable of that, but I think he's a tremendous talent. I think this is the beginning of him taking a step forward to that low-end running back 1, high-end running back 2 status.
Yeah,
so
he definitely has the talent to do it. Let's hope that the Detroit staff gets their heads out of their butts and they just they start riding him a little bit more. I mean,
Patricia's got to do something else. I mean, he's got to realize, like, if he doesn't turn this around real quick, he's out. If he's not out already.
He's getting BOB'd.
Oh, yeah. Cia McNair.
Yep.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, I love – if you were to buy Swift right now and you had – knowing the running backs coming out, Najee Harris has looked great. Travis Etienne's looked absolutely great. And say you're a middle-of-the-road team and you can use that running back help right now, would you give – your first and second next year in this next year's deep class for DeAndre Swift? Like, would you? Because obviously the team that drafted Swift drafted him probably pretty high,
Absolutely.
Right? So they're a bad team. Mm-hmm. He's done nothing to help him. That's your first round pick. So the odds of you turn that boat around in your dynasty league right away is probably pretty slim as well. So you're probably still sitting there, bottom of the barrel. If you're the middle of the road team,
right.
Team 6, 7, 8. Would you offer your first and second right now to the Swift owner?
I mean,
if you can get it and feel comfortable with that?
I would feel comfortable doing it. I'm not sure after the week that he just had, the owner's going to like jump on that opportunity at this point.
It's not much. So what do you think you have to add on top of that?
I mean, because all they're getting back in return is another gamble. You know what I mean? They're not going to get a player of his quality, I don't think, at the middle of the first round next year. Me personally, I don't think so. So I don't know how much a second's going to like really brighten their day in order to make that trade happen.
Like if you what about Kareem Hunt, for example?
Okay.
Right. Kareem Hunt's great matchup this week.
Sure.
So has Nick Chubb signed a 3-year extension. Would you flip Kareem Hunt straight up for DeAndre Swift? Or are they equals in your eyes?
They're pretty close. Yeah. Obviously, you're going to get a couple more years out of a guy like Swift, and
maybe more opportunity.
More opportunity someday. I mean,
maybe starting Sunday. Maybe last week was not a blip.
Someday. So yeah, I mean, you might be able to use this out, because obviously right now Kareem Hunt's getting all the carries in Cleveland. Where in a couple weeks he might be splitting. Maybe you'll be able to give him Kareem Hunt and get something in return.
So I was trying to think of like a running back that I would flip that's somewhat on par. Like Kareem Hunt's the first one that came to mind. A talented running back that if you offered somebody, it might be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that deal. Like I'm winning that deal. You know, Swift's only had the one good game. I don't know if he be the guy, but something along those like hunt lines, like maybe like Melvin Gordon straight up for DeAndre Swift. I don't think the Swift owner would do that.
I mean, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Well, anybody would. Nobody wants Melvin Gordon in the roster. He's the most easily. I just traded today for another Melvin Gordon share. I traded Nick Chubb in a 22 first and second for DeAndre Hopkins and Melvin Gordon in a Superflex league. It's like everybody wants to do. I'm in 20 leagues. 18 of them got Melvin Gordon.
You're like the garbage collector. You're just taking everyone's Melvin Gordon. But I mean, not that he's garbage. You know, it's just that's how everyone perceives.
He just falls in that category. If you got Melvin Gordon, you don't want him unless you're Rich Dotson. Then you want all the Melvin Gordon
give
shares.
me all the Melvins.
Hey, he's only 27. He's on a 3-year contract in Denver. They'll be back healthy next year, hopefully.
So what happened? Now that we're on that subject, they basically said that he wasn't going to get any sort of punishment, but then they didn't play him.
Well, he got sick.
Oh, he got sick.
He got sick. So the reason he didn't play is he got sick.
Oh.
These guys.
Was it the beer flu?
Probably. These guys that go out and get caught speeding, nonetheless, while they're drunk, twice the limit, and they have all the. It just blows my mind. It just
get a driver.
Get an Uber, dude. Like, back in the day, you had to find a driver, like somebody to physically drive you. Now all you do is download and press a button on your phone.
COVID is out there, so I can understand not wanting to go in a stranger's car.
Oh, my Jesus, Louise.
But have a buddy. Pay a friend. Hey, dude, you're the sober driver tonight. I'm going to pay you. You're driving me around.
I mean, how many fake friends do NFL players have?
Right.
Probably tons of them. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just that one girl that's like, you know what she's there for. You know? Like,
I need you sober. You're driving.
Baby, I need you. I need you too for a ride. Whatever you need, Melvin.
Yeah. I mean, just come on, guys. Come on.
Get a driver. So, now, this is where I'm torn as a majority Melvin Gordon owner. In real life, I think he should be suspended.
Sure.
That's stupid. It's just dumb. Yep. You can't do that. You can't do that and definitely get away with it. Like, in my eyes, like, you have to be suspended, like, from your job. That's my eyes for what he does. Not all jobs, for his job. Like, if you're like a UPS driver and you get a DUI, they're not gonna let you go drive.
Nope.
Right?
Absolutely.
So if you're a running back for the Denver Broncos, you get DUI, they shouldn't let you drive.
You're a public figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not driving a car like a UPS person is. So the parallels probably weren't exactly there, but he's out in the public eye. It's tarnishing the shield, quote unquote, of the NFL. So yeah, there should be some sort of punishment. I'm surprised the NFL. I mean, they'll eventually get to it, right?
Eventually, yeah. Well, it'd be one of those things you get suspended for the first 2 games next year.
Next season, right.
After I traded for more Melvin Gordon shares. So, moving on, quarterbacks.
All right.
Josh Allen has struggled the past 2 games versus good teams with only averaging 19.94 points per game. 4 games before that, averaging over 30 points per game.
He started off on fire. I mean, that is, for sure. But I mean, if you were watching the game this past week, it was a crappy rainstorm.
It was crappy.
So this week there was a big time weather element, and obviously the Chiefs have a heck of a pass defense there. I think they're number 3 or something in the league, and a lot of the plays were like pass interference calls against Stephon Diggs. So they were moving the ball, but it was just the defense was either holding or there was a lot of pass interference on Stephon Diggs when I was watching. At least I saw at least 2 or 3 of them. So, I think it's a little combination of both of those things. And he was just off. At the beginning of the game, he was just off.
And you'll have those games.
Yeah. And Kyler Murray was the exact same way. Did you see that game at all? He was sailing every ball. Like he was 3 of his first 12 or something like that, just because he was just off.
He had a monster game. Christian Kirk 2 catches. DeAndre Hopkins 2 catches. Him 38 points.
Right.
Well, rushing.
He had a rushing touchdown. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Josh Allen. He's a prototypical type of quarterback that's going to give you a couple down. Like his down games are going to be down games.
And I mean, it wasn't even that bad. 20 and 18. So he's like 19. I mean,
yeah, it's not 19 points. You'll take that better than in Scott Fishbowl you get negative points for incompletions. I had Aaron Rodgers and Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
total minus 25 points.
Oh, I have a putrid team in that league. Putrid. I have not won a game yet.
You're over?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I had scored 38 points.
I got hit by the injury bug. I have like no running backs. It's terrible.
It happens.
Yep.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to move on.
Yep.
Josh Allen, still top 6 dynasty quarterback?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to see what they do with like if they can get a running game going and really open like some play action with Josh Allen out there to be able to roll him out as well.
That has been very disappointing. I mean, obviously Zach Moss hasn't provided the kind of, I think, tough inside running that we would have thought he was.
He's been banged up.
He's been banged up. But I mean, 5 rushes this past week for 10 yards for Zach Moss. That's not getting it done, man.
No.
On your opportunities, you want to see it at least 20 yards or something like that.
And Devin Singletary is like Philip Lindsay. Like he can be the guy, but like
you're always going to be looking to replace him. Or your front office is always going to be looking to replace you.
You can use somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was hoping they were going to get Le'Veon Bell.
That would have been a nice landing spot, and they were going after him. They just didn't land. They didn't end up landing him.
And I get Lev Bell's stance, like, hey, I can go win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm getting paid by the Jets. I can go win a Super Bowl. I'm not worried at all if I'm a Clyde Edwards-Helaire owner. I mean, he just showed you this past week. I mean, I think he's averaging like the most yards, not the second most yards after contact. Was averaging over 9 yards per carry. He gets hit. It's weird because like he's still running back 1, and people are like poo-pooing on Clyde Edwards. We talked about this last week, him and Jonathan Taylor, and like he's still out there dominant. I mean, he looked out there on Monday night, and you're like, they don't need Lev Bell whatsoever.
They don't.
And I think people they're going to bring Lev Bell and he's going to kill Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No,
they came out and said he's basically they wanted to take a little bit of the pressure of like the every down pounding off of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that's what he signed for. And look at his contract. That's what it indicates as well.
And then, Clyde Edwards-Helaire struggled at the goal line, where Lev Bell has always had a lot of success at the goal line. So you can see some of that. But listen, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a running back 1 now, and he's not scoring any touchdowns anyways.
Right.
That will come. And when it does come, now you're looking at top 3, top 4. Let me go back on my rant. Again, any kind I find any opportunity to buy window on guys like that, you got to jump on them. That Lev Bell signing was a clear buy window.
Yep.
And then he just had his game on Monday night, and you're like,
yeah, that window.
God, that was a really small window. Man,
that was.
I wasn't so overweight. I could have jumped right through that thing.
Couldn't even throw my 10-year-old, right? 8-year-old through that one.
It's like those small drive-by windows. So yeah, it's
give me my cheeseburger.
Throw it out the window, drive by and grab it. Yeah. And before we go on, Matt, we have a couple more words from 2 more sponsors. Ooh. First one is our friends at Bud's Butter CBD Company. Bud's Butter is a family-owned CBD company that specializes in farming, processing, and producing high-quality CBD products at a very affordable price. They just finished up their second growing season, and boy, they had an amazing crop. This high-quality hemp flower has been put into their newest product, Bud's Skinny Left-Handers. This multi-pack of CBD hemp flower pre-rolls can provide instant relief to pain and anxiety. Tanner and Levi Buds are brothers, owners, and longtime Dynasty listeners, and they are running 20% off with free shipping on all orders over $20 with the code NERD, N-E-R-D. Once again, that's 20% off and free shipping on all orders over $20 with the code NERD. Check out their products at Bud's Butter. That's BUDZ butter.com. You get full confidence knowing where your CBD products came from, as the Bud's brothers have handled it from start to finish. Be sure to use that promo code NERD and get 20% off and free shipping. They just ran that promo. Mark Cannon won a $50 gift card they can use anywhere from Bud's Butter, which is absolutely fantastic. And again, I just recommend you guys give it a try. If you're ever hesitant about CBD oil, it's not marijuana. It's not gonna get you It's not gonna get you a buzz, unfortunately. But pain, anxiety, it helps, man. I'm somebody who works really hard all day long. I work 13-hour days, 6 days a week, and a lot of times I just get emotionally and just drained. My body's sore. Take a little Bud's Butter in my coffee, get some of that little mint in there, stir it up. I'm feeling peppy. I'm feeling great. You should try it. That's all I ask. budsbutter.com, BUDZ. Use that promo code NERD, and you get 20% off and free shipping.
Nice. And here's another great product, Rich, Prediction Strike. Have you ever heard of somebody owning a player from basically day one in a fantasy league?
Oh, like Drew Brees 17 years ago?
Yes, exactly. So Prediction Strike is basically, it does that same kind of thing. It takes players and you put money in, and you can basically buy stocks on these players. You don't actually have to use them in a fantasy lineup per se. It's just, their value will fluctuate based on how they're playing, and you can buy you buy a share of a player when he's a rookie at a low price, or if it's somebody that hasn't busted out yet, and as they kind of ride the wave, their value will go up. If it's a player that starts to dominate, you can really cash out and make a ton of money here on their website.
So Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, buy. Even though they're wide receiver ones now, they're probably going to be a little bit more expensive.
Down the line, absolutely.
So like a penny stock would be like invest in Denzel Mims.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds an awful lot like a lot of these other stock websites for regular stocks, but it just happens to deal with fantasy instead.
Oh, it's one thing I am really know about is young fantasy players.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I like to dabble a little bit in the stock market myself. I got in low on Tesla. And now that's come to fruition and bloomed and blossomed.
Now you're the richest guy.
Now I'm the richest guy in this room, and you can do that.
There's only two of us here,
and I'm not the richest person here. Damn it! And so you can do that exact same kind of thing, but with fantasy players. And get started today. The website is predictionstrike.com, and right now, if you go and you sign up, use the code Dynasty to get an additional $10 off your first of your first deposit of $20 or more. So, or an additional $10 on top of your $20 deposit or more.
Nice. Yeah. So take that free $10, invest it all in
Tesla.
Oh,
no,
I would take
DeAndre Swift.
I would take the $10 and put it, the free $10, and put in CeeDee Lamb, because that's a safe bet. There's nowhere to go but up. It ain't going down. And then take my $20, I'm invested in Denzel Mims.
I was going to say Mims. That was the same guy I was thinking of.
DeAndre Swift is a good investment as well. Mm-hmm. Who else would be a good investment?
Maybe a Pittman share. Maybe
Mike Williams.
Yeah, Mike Williams. I like Mike Williams. And he's been
Tua Tagovailoa, about to get his first start.
Getting his first start next week, absolutely. He got in at garbage time this past week, and the stadium was going nuts there in Miami.
Well, use that promo code Dynasty.
Get
to predictionstrike.com.
Yep.
Get it in there. Try them out. Invest. And when you come up big, remember me and Matt.
Exactly.
Matt and I. Me and Matt. Eminem.
Make us the richest guys in this room.
Oh, please so much. I'll do Dynasty full time every day.
Oh, my gosh.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yep.
Well, should we go back to Dynasty? Let's do it. Matt, does Kenyan Drake, big game, give you more confidence in him moving forward, or would you rather just sell kind of highish now?
I mean, honestly, right now I do have a share of Kenyan Drake, and unfortunately, it's in a league where it's Kenyan Drake. I'm basically forced to start him at this point of the year. But this week was great. But obviously, it was 160 something yards, but he had like a huge
69 yard for a touchdown.
Yeah,
I won a game. And now listen, this never happened. Like, I'm in 20 leagues and I'm the king of losing by 0.5 points, 0.3. Never win ever by 0.3, 0.5. Never. You think the odds would be that I would win a game by lose all the time.
Every once in a while.
This week though, won by 0.52 points. That Kenyan Drake run.
That Kenyan Drake run got you, huh? Nice.
Yeah. God bless Kenyan Drake.
Kenyan Drake. So yeah, at this point, even the announcers during that game were talking about how they were talking to the coaching staff, and the coaching staff loves Chase Edmonds, and I can't remember which announcer it was during the game, but he was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Chase Edmonds takes over here as the starter. So I mean, behind the scenes, it sounds like the coaching staff is really pumping up Chase Edmonds, and going into this past week, I think that was evident, that they do actually like Chase Edmonds quite a bit. But, this happened to be the week where Kenyan Drake busted off a big run. He got like a goal line carry. So he got two touchdowns, 160 something yards. And so I would use this. I personally, if I could afford to get rid of him, I would be looking to sell him.
No contract extension to date. Doesn't look like it's going to come. Maybe if he finishes the year really strong, that can come. But he's going to fall in that category of free agent running backs that never really pan out in the second, and which put him on his third team, which is really hard. Like, we don't see that happen very often unless you're Frank Gore.
And it's going to be a pretty big class of free agents and a pretty big class of rookie running backs that he's going to be competing with to get a job.
So if you can sell, like any running back, but at the same time, it's a running back. You should always sell a running back if you can. Like, I had to sell Nick Chubb today. Did I like doing it? No. But, you're just a running back, Nick.
Right.
Can't keep you in my dynasty team forever.
You'll be gone in 3 years, unfortunately, but you will be.
Yeah. So for me, Kenyan Drake, is it a buy? Is it a sell window? Anytime a running back has a big game, it's always a sell window.
Yep.
Really?
Well, yeah, I think there are obviously exceptions, but I don't think that Kenyan Drake is one of them. Youth
is the key. Like, so right. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But at the same time, you come knocking my door with the right offer, you can have Clyde Edwards too.
Yeah, hey, absolutely. And it's not that Kenyan Drake's, I don't think, that old.
No, he's 26?
25 or 26, yeah.
Yeah, he's not that very old. Former third-round pick out of Miami, escaped. I still think my hope is still that the market's lukewarm and he just re-signs in Arizona on a team-friendly deal. Where it's like, no, the guarantee money's not really there, but he's getting like $4 million a year from Arizona. He knows the offense. Cliff Kingsbury's comfortable with him and Chase Edmonds. That's your best bet.
I think he's going to have to come a ways. You know what I mean? I don't think the coaching staff has a ton of trust in him right now. He doesn't look great between the tackles. If you take away some of his big runs, is he like a special guy? And he's dropping passes too, which is odd.
I was just going to go right from there. The biggest thing about Kenyan Drake that's really taken me back in 2020 is his lack of production in the passing game, whether it be dropping footballs.
It was an important third down one this time, and it was an easy pass that he just dropped.
And that was his bread and butter. That's what I loved about him coming out, was not like for being a bigger back. Like, I didn't really love his running style, but I really liked him in the passing game. And that was always a strong suit, even in Miami. He was a great pass catcher running back. And now it's like, okay, Chase Edmonds is going to be our pass catcher running back guy.
I think he's definitely taken that role, Chase Edmonds.
It's weird that he's had such a bad step back year when finally given a showcase entire season of a year.
Right.
And he fizzles it out. Another team I could be worried about, Matt, are we worried about the Cowboys offense after only putting up 10 points versus the Cardinals? Buda Baker had a monster game.
I was just say I was unfortunate. I'm in one stinking IDP league, and the guy I was going against had Buda Baker, and I ended up losing. I mean, the guy Buda Baker I think had like 12 or 13 points, and I lost by like 5 or 6 points. So normally, I stay away from IDP for the most part, but that was one game that like. He freaking killed me, man.
He looked great. Buda Baker's fantastic.
He looked amazing. It's so hard to gauge. I mean, right now the Dallas offense is obviously a mess. Their whole offensive line is out of whack. I think there's one guy that was the starter last year, Connor Williams, who's in there at like right guard. Everyone else is a backup. Now their left tackle that was playing for Tyron Smith just went out and had a knee surgery, so he's going to miss this week at least. It must have been a minor cleanup or something like that.
I saw it on Twitter about like a couple shuffles on the offensive line again.
Yeah, it's nuts. So it's hard to gauge. I mean, obviously right now, me personally, I'm pulling back so much enthusiasm because and then Zeke's fumbling the ball. He fumbled the ball twice, and he's had a lot of fumbles this year, period, which is totally odd. He's up to like 4 or 5 or something
probably
like that.
Dumbass tattoo he got on his stomach.
He got a tattoo on his stomach?
It says feed me.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
Oh, it's so terrible. It looks terrible. I love Zeke so much.
So do I.
But, yeah, I saw that. I'm like, ugh.
And then Andy Dolphin's Andy Dolphin. You know, with if he doesn't have time to throw, I mean, you can see that he's not producing. So it's going to have to be one of these things where they get healthy on the O-line before I start trusting them big time. I think you can trust the fact that they're going to be throwing the ball a lot.
Which is going to help the receivers, which is –
right.
We always talk about, it's so funny. Every year people are like, you have 2 receivers on a team. Can you hold 2 wide receiver ones? It can be 2 wide receiver ones. Every year there's a team that has 2 wide receiver ones. There's 12 wide receiver ones, Matt, right? Okay.
There's only 12.
And right now, Adam Thielen is number 3. Justin Jefferson's a wide receiver 1. Oh, and then Amari Cooper is wide receiver 5. And CeeDee Lamb is a wide receiver 1.
Odd. Well, it helps when your defense is god-awful. And that's what you have.
Hello, Cowboys.
That's what you have with the Cowboys. So they're going to be throwing. They're going to be throwing a lot. And unfortunately, it's one of these things where, Zeke, he's going to have a tough go running the ball just because the offensive line stinks and they're going to be in so many negative game scripts. Luckily he catches passes out of the backfield. He's a really good blocker, so he'll be in there on third down situations, picking up the blitzes and stuff like that. So he'll be in for a lot of those potential dump off passes and stuff like that. But it's so, I mean, you're not gonna be able to count on the quarterback, Andy Dalton at all. I mean, it
was a primetime game, which he always struggles in primetime games.
Is he a primetime struggler?
He's a primetime struggler. Like when it comes time to put up in front of everybody, he shrivels up.
Well,
it's like it's cold outside.
That's like 3/4 of the Dallas games are like these big time games, don't you think? I mean, like they're always getting the big announcers, always getting the big games. They're always getting at least the 4:00 game. It feels like, so
it's not looking good for the Cowboys.
It's not looking good.
And they didn't have a big decision they got. I mean, obviously Dak's the franchise there, but I don't think when the defense is as bad as the Dallas, I don't ever worry because they're always pushing the ball downfield. So it's still great for Zeke because he's gonna catch more balls out of the backfield. It's still great for CeeDee Lamb. It's still great for Amari, and they're still trying to get Michael Gallup the ball as well. So I think
Dalton Schultz. I mean, Dalton Schultz has looked pretty decent as a guy that's. Obviously he flew completely under the radar, kind of popped up, and now he's kind of leveling back off a little bit as some of these other pieces get more used to and more targets in the offense. But I still think he's a guy that you can count on. He's a guy that's going to get 5 or 6 targets a game at least.
You can start everybody on the Cowboys except for Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I think that's
pretty much it.
Yep.
Speaking of concern, you were talking about Zeke at running back. What do you think of Cam Akers right now? Despite he's been back for 2 weeks right now, and he's got 0 touches in week 6 for San Fran. Are we worried about Cam Akers?
I mean, I think at the beginning of the season, all in the preseason and the pre-draft stuff, we mentioned him as a guy that was going to be a volatile guy. He was a big boom bust type of guy. And now that Henderson has kind of established himself a little bit there, it seems like they're kind of just. They even said that they were going to be having this crazy 3-headed, 4-headed monster and kind of going with the hot hand. It seems like right now Cam Akers' hand is completely cooled off, and we knew that. We knew he had a ways to go.
We said out of all the first-round picks, the guy most likely to bust was Cam Akers, but also the guy most likely to take time to get usage out of. So it looks like we won't know anything about Cam Akers either till late in the season, or his value really won't come in a Dynasty League until 2021.
2021, yeah, because he's raw. He's a guy that was not playing running back until 3 years ago, which in my eyes, in the pre-draft stuff, I was like, that probably should be enough time for you to learn the position and be more natural in a lot of the stuff that you're doing, like instinctively.
You did harp on that when we were doing our scout and rookie preview. You were saying, like, everybody keeps talking about Cam Akers being raw, but like he's been doing this for multiple years. He should start flipping around. I think Nick Whalen also had the same comment on there, which again moved him up to our highest bust rate. It's just weird that he was going ahead of guys like Justin Jefferson, for example, and it was weird in the NFL draft. They took him ahead of J.K. Dobbins. It was just weird all the way around.
I mean, the guy has a ton of athletic ability, so I understand why they were enamored with him. But he was so raw. I think you could have held off. They probably could have held off another round and still got him personally. But
taking somebody more paired like J.K. Dobbins,
they picked him there. They got to live with that. And now they're kind of dealing with, I think, the bumps and bruises that we kind of foresaw, I think, in the pre-draft.
I think we're looking at 2021 when more likely Malcolm Brown will be out after that.
And Malcolm Brown just looks like a guy when he's out there. I feel like
he is. Darrell Henderson looks good going north and south, but he's just a guy.
Right.
So are you buy of 0 Cam Akers shares? 0, because I was investing in receivers over Cam Akers everywhere.
I was picking Justin Jefferson over Cam Akers 100 out of 100 times. So I didn't get any Cam Akers shares either.
I mean, right now, what are you paying for Cam Akers? A 21 second? Nobody's selling them because
nobody's selling him for that. But that I wouldn't pay a first for him for sure. So I would offer a second. I would expect to get denied.
Yeah,
but I would offer it.
Even then, you're like, maybe I want to have a second.
I know, right? I wouldn't feel great about even giving my second for him, but it's at least. You're throwing a second at somebody that has a ton of upside. You know what I mean? So it's tricky. I don't know. Like I would feel if I was making a pick in a rookie draft from this past year and it was the second round, I got Cam Akers, I would feel
really good about it.
I'd feel pretty good about it. But at this point, with all the added information, I would be.
I can promise you one thing: when we do our rookie redraft show at the end of the year, Cam Akers will not be in the first round.
100%.
That's almost a 100% guarantee. Yep. So
unless something big happens between now and then.
Hey, to be fair, there's a lot of football left, and right now there's a lot of teams blown up. Like after week 6, right where we're at now, we're halfway through the season. Right below that halfway mark through the 13, usually it's 13 regular season weeks here. So you get a lot of teams now. This is where the trades really start to pick up here. And we were discussing before the show, Matt, like this is one of those weird years. If you're sitting here like 2-4, 1-5, well, 1-5 is not too great where you want to be.
Yeah, 1-5, you might actually be out.
You might be out. But 2-4, with how many injuries we're seeing every single week, COVID, games getting pushed back, and all this really weird things. You might have a really good team that's just not been able to put together from an injury standpoint to games being pushed back. Say you had like A.J. Brown on your roster and you've been missing. Like your team might not be out of it quite yet.
I have a team that has got A.J. Brown, Mike Williams, and Michael Thomas as my top 3 options. So I've just been shuffling all this crap around. My team doesn't suck. I've had a horrible situation. You know what I mean? So come the next 3 weeks, I might be golden. You know what I mean?
A.J. Brown and Michael Thomas, you've literally haven't had them all year long.
Oh, you're right, exactly.
And those are 2 almost wide receiver. Well, Michael Thomas is a wide receiver 1. A.J. Brown's borderline wide receiver 1 as well. That you get an influx into your offense to carry you to W's. Those 2 guys alone give you 40 points per game. So I think there's a lot of guys coming back here. Like I said, Christian McCaffrey's about to start coming back where your team is. Like I would be hesitant to just
and Austin Eckler. These guys will. I don't know when. I haven't heard a timeline on Austin Eckler, but all these guys are going to be eventually coming back in this season, and it's one of those things where you can flip a script. You know what I mean? From as long as you've stayed afloat, you've got a couple of wins through six weeks already, you might be able to go on a run here if you get a few of these guys back. Obviously everyone's
team's different. You got to monitor the situation. Exactly. Make sure you're not turd for fake poop diamond.
Right, but if you went into the season thinking you were a contender, but you're actually dudding out a little bit due to some of these either COVID IRs or just these guys that are just getting injured and put on the short-term IR, it's assess, figure out who's coming back, when they're coming back, and maybe you make a quick move to kind of keep you afloat for 2 or 3 weeks.
And I think the move here too, Matt, is right now when you're sitting there like 2-4 or 3-3 in your league, and there's other teams as well like 2-4 or 3-3. So even though you're 2-4, you're in 8th place, but 4th place is 3-3 or 4-2, right? And you look at their teams they lost Dak. They're losing people as well. They just lost Zach Ertz, who surprisingly has been missing all year. And when you offer your first for a player right now, it's mistakenly looking better than it's going to be.
Right.
So you're like, hey, I'm in 9th place. Like, oh, Rich has a bottom 3 pick. He's offered me his first and this player for this. Sure. I got to make this move, not realizing that move is going to catapult you in there.
Boost you up 5 spots all of a sudden. Yep.
It's a good spot to make a move where a lot of people are looking at records and standings where your first may look way more attractive, and now you're about to get all these players back. So there's a running back in need, essentially. Mm-hmm. Now's the time to buy. A guy like Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, that you could potentially set yourself up for down the road to make a real strong push in about 3 weeks, around there. Mm-hmm. And if you have somebody to carry you over, because what
if you get like a Rojo or something like that who kind of came out of nowhere and is now
running back 13 in a year?
Right.
Oh, gross.
I mean, to keep you afloat. That's what I'm saying. Till you get one of these guys back. I think Rojo is a guy that is available.
I know, but what do you like? If you're the Rojo owner, you're holding out for a late first.
Okay.
Would you pay that for Ronald Jones? I'd rather drop an anchor on my foot.
You hate him that much still.
I
don't. For the record, I don't love him either. But I think he's playing. I think he's getting an opportunity,
100%.
and he's making the most of it.
100%. Like you can't sell him for less,
right?
And I couldn't do it.
I know you couldn't do it. I think at this point, I could pull the trigger on that move if I'm a true contender and I needed to bridge the next 3 weeks or so.
I'd rather give up the money for James Robinson.
I wouldn't. James Robinson
than Rojo?
Yeah, I would much rather have Rojo.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, James Robinson could just be a flash in the pan. He's already starting to
Could
lose.
be?
Yeah.
We said to sell him right away.
He's already starting to lose value as the weeks go on.
As soon as he went up, like, oh, because remember, like, oh, take a second while you can. We're like, okay, maybe you shouldn't take that second. Hold out for a first. I got a first for him in the league.
Yep.
God bless America.
God bless America.
So, like, who are the target? Like, so Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, still pretty expensive, right? I sold Nick Chubb today because I got DeAndre Hopkins and Melvin Gordon, and they're playing youth, long term, better running back there as well. I'm playing top receiver in the game, DeAndre Hopkins. Like, do you think that price is still out there too much for like a guy like Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, or you just, like you said, the Rojo route? Because no matter what you're doing for a running back right now that's playing anything decent, you're paying the price. Like, you're paying a first round pick, or you're paying a good receiver, a good tight end, something along those lines.
What about a Devontae Freeman type of guy who's getting the usage? He's getting the bulk of the carries there with the
twice
Giants.
as many, like 30 to 14 compared to Wayne Gallman. I think, that's a good name to bring up because I think he's somebody who's going to give you not Rojo numbers, but James Robinson numbers for a fraction of the price.
Right. And Devontae Freeman for years, his value has been derived from the fact that he's going to get you 50 to 60 yards on the ground and another 40 to 50 yards through the air on like 5 or 6 catches. And that's kind of how they're using him there as well.
That's all you need for a running back too.
It really
12,
is.
14, you find a touchdown, you're giving me that 22-point game. Like, I'll take that all day. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Devontae Freeman's the way to go there. Because there's not many other guys out there that you could really afford.
And he's cheap. I mean, Devontae Freeman's even cheaper than Rojo.
They're cheap.
Yeah.
A late second.
Right.
Which is, for a championship push, I'm all day on that.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Like, a late first for Rojo, I just know when that pick comes up, I'm going to be mad. Anything's worth a championship, bar you. But it's not even like, it's not saying he's not worth that price. It's like, I still don't know. He's done it now up to week 6.
Right.
But he's done that in spurts as well because he's had a couple good games and some bad games.
And he still looks like trash catching the ball.
Exactly. So it's like, can I trust him the rest of the way? Even more so, like when Leonard Fournette gets back fully healthy, come week 13, 14, 15, will we still be able to trust him? You know what I mean?
The weird thing about Rojo, and the thing that he has worked on and I think become much, much better at, is not falling down like a piece of paper on any kind of contact, which was his thing that you saw on tape coming out of USC. But since then, he's put on about 20 pounds.
Oh, he moves to, like, he gets in the pile and he moves. It's a night and day transfer.
Exactly. That's where he's taken his biggest leap, I think, forward once he got to the NFL. So he's improved, and I think maybe we should start adjusting our mindset a little bit on him to a guy that is going to be at least a serviceable back.
A Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, because he's not going to be able to, he's shown that he just drops way too many balls to be involved heavily in the passing game. He'll catch a ball he's better than Jordan Howard catching the ball. Everybody is. Howard. Exactly. So it's one of those things where I think we just kind of need to adjust. I'm with you there. The first, I think, is what you'd have to pay to pry him out of somebody's hands, but I'm not 100% sure I'm willing to do that either. I think I'd rather go to Devontae Freeman.
Yeah. I think we narrow it down. I think Devontae Freeman's the move.
Yeah.
So, all right. Cool. We'll be back next week after week 7.
Week
Garrett
7.
will be back.
Yep, absolutely.
Some more Dynasty.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you can always talk Dynasty with us on Twitter. I'm at Dynasty Rich.
I'm at Dynasty Matt.
You can check out the site at Dynasty Nerds. Make sure we have, again, Dynasty Nerds. It's not just an awesome website. We have so much more going on. You can check out the Dynasty Nerds Facebook group where we have over 9,500 users on there. That thing is just probably the best forum out there for Dynasty Fantasy Football today. Tons of conversations out there. You put a question on there, you get 100 responses out there from people all over the world. Got to check out the Dynasty Nerds Facebook group. Check out dynastynerds.com again for great articles. And of course, you got to check out the Dynasty Nerds GM. This is a very important part of the season, right? The middle of the season. Are you a contender or are you a reloader?
Yep.
I would say, not a rebuilder, a reloader.
Reload.
Reload that team. Check out the Dynasty GM. If you haven't tried it out yet, I mean, it's free to try for 3 days. Just try it out, the Dynasty GM. See where you're at. See if your record does not indicate the true Dynasty team that you have. We have the contender ranks, the win now rankings, which are contender rankings, and the Dynasty rankings. So maybe your Dynasty team's not great, but you're a win now team. Maybe your Dynasty team is great, but not a win now team. So all these different moves, it's going to show you in the Dynasty GM. What's your strength? What's your weaknesses? And not only that, what's your other team in your league, what their strength and weaknesses are too. It's going to help you expedite trades much quicker. We got the trade calculator as well to make sure you're in the right ballpark of these trades as well. Remember, the trade calculators are not end all be all. It's a guide to make sure you're not missing anything too drastic there as well. Our trade calculator suggests players. And then our trade calculator also, it just doesn't, you can literally pull up your league and pick the teams you want to trade with, and it shows you right from there. So you're not inputting, looking for who has who. Check it out. That's all I ask. Check out the Dynasty GM today. It's free to try out. I guarantee it's going to make your Dynasty life a million times better. I absolutely love it.
It is amazing.
That's it. We'll be back next week with Garrett.
Adios.
That show's going to be so much uglier.
Bye-bye.